Back inside SVG On Demand, Brandon Costa, Director of Digital Sports Video Group, here with you. Have the distinct pleasure now to be joined by Dave Sethi. He is head of sports for Instagram. We're going to be talking social video in the era of the coronavirus in sports right now. Dave, first off, it's great to see you. It's weird that this is the first way that I get the chance to meet you in real life, I guess you could say. But wish it was under better circumstances, but it's very nice to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, you and me both. I actually feel like the first time we were going to meet was at one of your events in New York City, and then
Right.
and then the world happened, and here we are. But glad to make this happen, and appreciate you having me on.
Of course. So let's talk about Instagram, and I want to start specifically with you with IG Live because man, it seems like it's on fire right now. Every time I pull up my phone and I open up my Instagram app, that top row is just loaded with lives. From your perspective, what do you think it is about the Instagram platform that is making it an attractive place to go live right now?
Yeah, well, I think one, there's the obvious reason, which is people have a lot more time on their hands than they may have had previously. And so how are they using different parts of Instagram to engage their fans, to engage with each other in live is one of the sort of natural ways in which we can replicate an experience that we otherwise are not able to now get in person. So I think there's that sort of inherent want to engage with each other. And so live is being that surface on Instagram. It is, to your point, definitely having its moment. And, I think with a lot of athletes in particular, but even broadcasters, teams, leagues, they're finding it to be a really engaging and informative way of having a conversation with their fans, of creating really compelling programming that doesn't require a studio, that doesn't require a live game to be being played before our very eyes. And so you're seeing a lot of great innovation there. And again, particularly with athletes, the ability for them to express themselves in an authentic way, to share more of who they are in real time, and almost replacing those 5, 6, 7 hours a day where they would otherwise be preparing for, if not actually playing a live sport. How are they taking the social, taking the Instagram, and engaging their fans there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that seems very obvious about the draw too is just how easy it is to just get going on IG Live. So when you and your team are interacting with whether it's entities like teams, leagues, and networks, or individual athletes, coaches, broadcast talent, whatever it may be, in what ways are you advising them of what to think about or what to consider before going live? Because it can be very easy to just pop and go. Are you advising them to think about anything or content types or anything of that nature before they press that go live button?
Yeah, we definitely see the spectrum of the sort of live experiences and however produced or almost unproduced they may be. So if you're on the one end of the spectrum as an athlete, and to your point, it's literally as simple as pressing maybe 2 buttons and all of a sudden you're live with your fans. That's actually the kind of great content that IG Live is really made for, because we want that sort of one click, let me broadcast myself and my life to the world. And so athletes have really taken to that. And fans have really enjoyed it as well because they're seeing that sort of raw look into what athletes are doing, especially during this crisis. On the other end of the spectrum, you have, the NBAs, the ESPNs of the world who are being really thoughtful about how they use the live surface on a day-to-day basis to engage their fans. So you have the NBA who's going, once a day at 3 p.m., having some of their broadcast talent with various players in the NBA and other sports. I think they used, my hometown guy, Gilbert Arenas today, I think, in one of their lives. I'm a Wizards fan, a long-suffering Wizards fan, but they used him in their live today. Richard Jefferson has done a lot of hosting on these lives as well. The NBA has also changed formats and done, a musical component with a live DJ. You've got, again, SportsCenter doing the sort of live with experience where they bring in a guest. And so, again, it sort of ranges that entire spectrum of how are they creating compelling, engaging content. But I think at the end of the day, what all of these partners are doing so well, including athletes, is just listening to their fans and literally asking them, what is it that they want to see out of a live experience? And it's one of the neatest things to see when you have an athlete that is going live or even thinking about going live is, they'll post in stories, they'll ask, what do you want me to show you? Or, where do you want me to take you today? Do you want me to take you into my workout? Do you want me to take you into how I'm cooking my meal? I mean, Mike Trout went live yesterday, I want to say it was, going live preparing, what seemed like a feast on his Instagram live. But it's that really being keenly attuned to what your fans may want to see and actually just giving them more of what they want.
So I'm curious from your perspective, because it really does feel like in this world we're about now, 3 or 4 weeks into most people being home, and being quarantined essentially, and sports being canceled and all of that nature. It very much feels like it threw a lot of quote unquote best practices up on their heads. But there's also a lot of things that you're describing here that are still very ingrained in what Instagram and Instagram Live have kind of always been. So I'm curious from your perspective, in what ways have the best practices changed dramatically, and in what way, like, where's that balance of things really being different and also there being like, hey, this is what we've kind of been preaching for you guys to do on this platform all along?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's the element of that sort of in the moment inspiration, which again, as I mentioned, is really what great, compelling Instagram live content is. And then there is this era where all of those best practices are being amplified to a completely different level than what we've seen in the past because of how many people are using Instagram live and how much fans are flocking to that service to engage in content. So, it's interesting when we look at our services, there are things that our partners are doing that are actually motivating us to continue to develop our product in meaningful and unique ways that are almost helping to sort of double down on those best practices, whether it's going live with and actually bringing two people into the same conversation, whether it is the interactivity piece. So you now have the ability to actually sort of produce a Q&A in live in a less hacked version than what you probably had to do a couple of years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think to your point, it's almost codifying what we've been socializing to our partners that they should be doing, but in an era where, unfortunately, we've had this forcing function, which is COVID-19, having our partners really double down on those strategies for ways they can engage their fans. Again, it's an unfortunate reason why they would have to do something like that. But I think what you're going to find, and I really do believe this, is that when we come out of this crisis and lives resume to a quote unquote new normal, however you want to call it, I think what you're going to find is live will actually have become a linchpin of how our partners program and engage their fans. And so, yes, we can prescribe various practices, but I think the ultimate reason why our partners will continue to invest in live long term is because of what they're seeing in terms of how much their fans are enjoying that kind of programming. And so actually baking that into their long term planning once we're out of this crisis.
Yeah, no, of course. Now, obviously, sports is your wheelhouse. You're the head of sports at Instagram, and there's been some really cool things that have been happening on the sports front. But I'm kind of curious, just personally for you, as someone who watches this kinds of content on a regular basis, and this could branch out beyond sports because I'm sure there's loads of great examples. But what have you been seeing on Instagram that has really made you kind of go, huh, that's pretty neat. That's pretty cool, that way that they're doing X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, there are a few things, and I sort of want to bucket the ways in which I think our partners have been using Instagram. It's sort of I think what they've been doing an incredible job of, which is really a public service, is informing and educating,
Mm-hmm.
which again, you sort of think of Instagram as more of the entertain bucket, so to speak, but the amount of education that our partners are doing, athletes, broadcasters, et cetera, to let people and really young people know about what's happening in today's world and how they can be safe is incredible. And I think that's where you see the marriage of education, but also education and entertainment in terms of creating compelling, creative content that actually reaches young people in a meaningful way. I think that is always inspirational. So whether it's the washing hands challenge or really the PSA type content, I've seen athletes that have figured out ways to make themselves more accessible, but in ways that are even more timely and meaningful today than they would be otherwise. So literally today I was watching Venus Williams do a fitness workout, which she's now doing, I think, daily at noon, to provide a virtual workout to her fans. The difference being, whereas most athletes would be on highly priced fitness equipment doing incredible feats of strength that
Yeah.
people like you and I wouldn't be able to do, she's creating a virtual workout using household materials and doing it in a way that is really accessible to fans. And that's not something that, I'm writing down in a playbook and delivering to her. It's something that she's doing that's really out of what she feels her fans need to see and want to see, and creating a program around that. So, there's that kind of content. I think what I've also been inspired by is, again, sort of how authentic these athletes have been with their fans about their own personal experiences. So, probably my favorite piece of content that has been created the past few weeks has been the Carl Anthony Towns IGTV video that really was just this raw, candid commentary about how COVID-19 has affected his life personally. And, that's not stuff that you can really script. And so for him to do that was incredible. On the other side of that, you've got the live with experience with Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony, which had, I can't even count how many stories and anecdotes about their careers with each other, their personal lives. And so I think there's just that, again, that spectrum of incredible content that's been created around this time. And it's coming from every type of, partner we work with, again, whether it's an athlete, a team, a league, or a media partner. I'm a huge NCAA tournament guy. College basketball is my favorite sport. And so, part of me definitely was destroyed when the tournament got canceled, since I always take time off to watch the games. But the recontextualizing of archival content has also, I think, been a big win for a lot of our partners, because they're letting us relive those experiences in unique and meaningful ways versus just sort of programming it for the sake of putting stuff up on social. So whether it's a company that's trying to do sort of a bracket style, what were the best moments from the round of 64 or the round of 32, things like that, which allow fans like myself to relive those memories, have been very special, and have helped me personally fill some of that void that I felt not having live sports in my life, going on a few weeks now. So.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely been tough. I mean, we're recording this on Monday, April 6th. We should be watching a national championship game tonight, right? Not to rub salt in the wound, Dave, but
it was. I think a lot of these, these organizations that have been doing their brackets are they're picking Dayton. I'm a mid-major guy. Definitely support mid-majors. I would love to have seen a Dayton-Kansas rematch, but here we are playing the what-if game, unfortunately.
You talk about mid-majors. I mean, I'm a Hofstra alum, and we were in the
Oh my
tournament for the
gosh.
first time in like 20 years, and the first time since I've been a student of the school. So this was supposed to be a big march, and I can only assume now that we would have made it this far. We would have at least gotten a Final Four weekend, I think. But
you never know. My twin brother went to VCU actually the year they stole the Hofstra bid, basically.
Yep,
made it to the Final Four. So wherever there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Dave. Well, there's not too many, at least from the people that I talk to, because people who work in the sports media industry, whether it's athletes or teams or networks or leagues, they're very bold, ambitious, types that aren't afraid to get out there and try things. But for someone who maybe is still afraid of that go live button in Instagram Live, what's your message to them, especially now, about the power that holds, and what can you say that maybe would inspire them to make that leap, to start exploring that type of content?
Yeah, I think it's truly building a muscle, and what I would say is sort of depressurize it, because I can only imagine most people aren't getting in front of the camera the first time. I can remember the first time I was in front of the camera. I've talked to a lot of partners who have felt that sort of nerve-wracking experience of clicking the button and going live, and all it takes is one, just to go and do it. But again, depressurizing it by getting your fans involved. I think it's such a key. It's a differentiator, but it's such a key component of Instagram in general, is the ability for you to engage and interact with your fans. And it's a lot simpler for me to go live and answer a bunch of questions that my fans have already asked me than it is for me to click that live button and try to be a creative or a creator in that moment without any sort of template or any room in front of me. And so that's where I would say, social, or use what you have around you in order to create a live experience. That's one for sure. Listen to your fans in general. As I think about how much our partners' content has had to shift, given again an era of no live sports that we're in right now. What I've definitely noticed as well, what I think certain types of entities already got, especially digital first media companies, is also the power of user generated content. And I think you're seeing a lot more of that sprinkled into our partners programming,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of whether or not you actually have the rights to premium sports content or not. Is actually being able to lean on your fans who are they themselves creating great content, and how do you incorporate that into your programming? How do you make that a key component of how you're actually engaging them as well? You know, since Omar has taken over the Ad Sports Center account, I think you've definitely seen an emphasis on bringing the fan into that experience and actually using some of that as part of their programming. We've seen the Whistle Sports of the world, the bar
Mm-hmm.
stools do that for years now, and that's now becoming a more socialized best practice. But we even see athletes doing that too, where it's soliciting submissions from your fans and getting them involved. And what better way to cement someone's fanhood than actually making them feel like they're being heard, if not included in your programming? And I think that spans all services of Instagram, not just live.
Very cool stuff. All right, Dave. Well, it's been a pleasure getting the chance to catch up with you in this. And, we certainly at SVG appreciate the work that you guys have been doing to keep sports content creators active and innovative and trying new things. And also, as you mentioned, the socially responsible and socially good things that you've been seeing. I mean, even obviously the conversation between Steph Curry and Dr. Fauci garnered a lot of attention, and that was on Instagram. So a lot of really great, interesting, and helpful and important things happening on your platform right now. And we really appreciate you joining us to kind of share what you've seen along the way so far. So it's been great to talk to you, and hopefully next time it's under way better circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we'll have a Final Four to be talking about at the top of this call next year. So
Yeah.
thanks again for having me. And for any of the partners, people are listening, thank you to all of you, because we get to be the great recipient of all this amazing content in a time when I think we all need it. So much appreciated.
All right. Thanks again, Dave. He is Dave Sethi. He is head of sports for Instagram. That'll do it for this edition of SVG On Demand. For more, you can visit us online at sportsvideo.org.